So at that point, I was like, I've been here for a while. I got a couple calls from tech. Started out with Netflix. We had a conversation with them, but I was like, am I really ready to jump? It was tough, because I'm used to a steady, stable environment.
At this time, have you come home?
In Kenya?
Yeah.
The first time I came home was maybe 2011, before Leo was born, the last one.
That's 10 years later.
Yes.
10 years later.
Yes. And the world had changed. Everything was so expensive. Everything was super expensive at that point.
Where, here, back home?
Yeah.
Or globally?
I remember by the time I was leaving, I was on campus. And, a loaf of bread was a certain amount. But I came back, I was like, this is a different world. How do people survive in this environment? But that was in the middle of, was it Kibaki?
Probably the end of his last year.
Yes.
Kibaki, 2002 to 2012.
Yes. I was amazed by the roads, infrastructure that had been built. Kibaki years were interesting because a lot of people left Diaspora and came back. Because companies were beginning to acknowledge what people had in the West.
Who was somebody, for example, that you know who came back?
I know someone who left as a senior manager at ENY. She was doing really well. And she came back to, I think she started working BAT, a couple other companies.
Nice.
Really good. Very good expertise was invited back.
Okay.
I also talked to a couple of people that said,
CND.
I don't think they're ready for you. Because in the West, we are taught to speak up. Here, there's an aspect of speaking up. There's also an aspect of understanding who's in the room and who's influencing who. If you go, like for example, in tech, and you're in a room and you don't speak up, then there's no value for you being in it, unless you're a scribe. So in this environment, what I heard is that someone would say, Atufanyi, or we're not going to do that. Our focus area is different. Like, why? So you couldn't question some of the obvious things. It was culturally different. Yes. But that was some of the companies were a little bit more traditional.
Yeah.
But there were progressive companies as well. I
That
know a couple of people who did really well. But it was a little bit of a headache. You needed to come in, what they said, what my friend said, at the right level to influence strategy and vision. If you work for someone who didn't see where you came from and the value that you're adding, it would be very frustrating.
Okay, let's talk about this time when you came back home. I don't want to just skip through it. Like home is home.
Yes.
And you're home again.
Yes.
For granted with a reason. The first time when you came back home, first and foremost, you must have been shocked by the road network to your home, highway all the way.
Yes. I was like, man, I can whatever. At that point, remember when I left campus, sikuwa na kakitu. So now at least I have something. I can say, let me rent.
Something.
I could rent a car, and I rented a car, and I was like, let me go to Embu. I took the highway. I was like, there in a
Did you come home with your family?
Yes, we came with the whole family.
Yes.
We ended up going to Lake Nakuru, Masai Mara at that point again. We did Sopa in Naivasha. We did around Mount Kenya. We went Mount Kenya Safari Club. We went Nanyuki Safari Club. It was good. And then we went to Coastal.
And so you got to see Kenya in a way you had never seen it.
I had never seen it, yes. As me paying. We had done a lot of that with my parents paying back in the day.
Yes.
But it was me paying, yes. It was good. Very, very good experience.
But for you, it wasn't home. It wasn't like it was in and out. It was a holiday.
Yes. It was a holiday. And at that point, you still have work to do. You're still logging in and doing some work.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Again, you always have to constantly know that you're adding value. Yes. But you gotta balance it as well.
Let me ask you, why did you come back? Why did you come and visit?
I hadn't been here in a long time. And there was the Russia thing that I needed to do as well. We had done something, so when we left, we were young. We had done something, my parents had seen each other, but it was kind of like part 2 of that. And then sometimes 2016, we did part 3, and now we're going to do part 4 and maybe 5 at some point.
Yeah.
I guess you don't finish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but was it worth it for you? Do you have some? Actually, what did that do for you? Let me just ask that.
Yes. It reignited the fire within me. It taught me where I come from and how hungry people are. As I was having conversations with people, I was like, these guys are hungry. There isn't too much opportunity, but they're hungry. Sometimes you when you go to the West, you get complacent. You're like, well, niko poa, and under the circumstances. But when you come here, you see hunger. People hustling. Hey, can you do this? Yesterday, I was hustled by a woman. I was looking at a kinyozi. She was like, hey, we do this. And before I realized, I was having my... but it was hustle that you hadn't seen. Yes, I hadn't seen that. And that's the hunger that you always want to be reminded of. And then also reminds you where you're from. It humbles you. When you're away, you don't realize there's still a lot of need in Kenya. And part of a need is know-how. I don't know what this looks different. That's why, I think at some point when Kibaki was bringing some of the people, they brought in systems and processes that work different. And introduce things that people were able to do out in the West. And hey, how can we think about AT as an enabler? They were already thinking about that, but how can we think about a different type of IT as an enabler? I was amazed. I went to NAILAB. I was like, hey, let me listen to what these guys are talking about. I have an understanding of data science a little bit. Hey, can I get one of his ideas? Partner with someone, and it wasn't affordable. I'm telling you. Sat down with someone and they were like, hey, this is about $50,000. I was like, what's the secret sauce in this? Or this is something when you're in a mat and something attacks, you can be able to press. I was like, I can press the same thing on my phone. So, but it was ideas that were present here that were doing really well. But I was impressed.
Okay.
I was impressed by the hustle. I was inspired by the hustle.
Nice.
And also humbled by, there's still a lot of poverty in the world. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens now when you go back? Okay. So you go back, you continue again with the grind.
Yes. Hungry now. Grind. Spent many years and you just, hey, I always look to the left, to the right. That person could edge me anytime. And I'm always, hey, how can I collaborate and partner with you? How can I collaborate and partner with you? How can I learn from you? Yeah, every single instance for me is a learning opportunity. Yes. Everyone that I meet is a learning opportunity. So I'm constantly finding my James Mogo along the way. It's like, what is a winning thing in this environment? Yeah. Yes. You remember James Mogo?
Yeah, I remember.
When I went to Patch,
he was
he was number one in the Index 1, yes. He came in Patch as the highest ranked, learning study habits. So that's the same thing that I'm always doing. Okay. Yes.
Okay, let's transition then from your third son is born in this time. Okay, let's then transition from what's his name again?
Leo.
No, not your son's name. The company that you work in.
Freddie Mac.
Yes, Freddie Mac.
Yes. So at some point, 2020, maybe 2021, someone.
Wow, you're there for that long, eh?
Yes.
So this time sounds very routine. It sounds like it's your most constant time in one organization. So
it's my focus time with the family as well. Let me learn what makes people tick. I started coaching basketball and I would look at some of your parents. What's your motivation coaching? I learned a lot.
Okay, I don't want to skip. Is there anything else? Because this is a long time that you've been in this time. I don't just want to skip it unless you feel like you're ready to transition to the next era. But is there anything that you would like to share about this period that maybe
best opportunity for me to connect with the family. I was present every day, even if I came at night. I lived across the street, so I'd go home for lunch. At that time, Penny had taken a break and she was focused on the family. And the reason we made that decision is that there was a couple of Muindi kids that we found that went to the local high school, and all of them were going to do something interesting. Harvard, Carnegie Mellon, they were going to MIT. They're going to all these schools, and we were like, what's a common denominator? Their moms stay home. So it's a huge sacrifice for us to be able to do that. But it's a connection that we were building. And then I was present, I would cross over, go find home, and would be able to build that and cement that relationship.
So it sounds like part of your definition of success is how you raise your kids.
Yes. Oh. Yes. I want them to see the world to be better than me. In different ways. Could be, hey, someone who does philosophy the best way ever. Someone who becomes a good attorney, the best attorney at what they do. Let them love what they love to do. Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay. So help me transition out of this era.
So at that point, I was like, I've been here for a while. I got a couple calls from tech. Started out with Netflix. We had a conversation with them, but I was like, am I really ready to jump? It was tough, because I'm used to a steady, stable environment.
And how do you get these opportunities? Do you put yourself out there to say, do you get a recruiter?
So there's executive level recruiting. They recruit you from your Facebook. Oh, well, they recruit you from your LinkedIn.
Yes, LinkedIn.
But a lot of it is also word of mouth. Let me back up a little bit. When I was at Freddie, one of the things that I would do is that in any area that I got into, I became the subject matter expert. So every year there would be a conference, industry conference, and I would be a speaker. So I would speak about operational risk management in the era of regulatory requirements. I would speak about 2020 best practices for internal audit, model risk management, best practices. I would speak about the subjects that I was in every time. So someone must have seen in a couple of those. And also I've built a lot of good relationships along the way. Someone said, hey, we're interested in your background.
So this is now the Netflix comes calling?
Yes.
So why didn't you take the Netflix?
It was a huge leap of faith.
Was Netflix at that time?
Yeah.
What year is this?
It's 2020, when they grew tremendously. Yes.
Is it COVID driven? 2020, bro,
yes.
That's like a couple of years ago.
Yes. What happened at that point, I think, what we're looking for is people who are going to look at things slightly different. I come from a reg requirements type of environment, so I understand what the regulators are looking at. So my idea is to bring in the best practices into the ecosystem.
I get it.
Yes. So I was like, I don't think I am ready. Then someone called me from Meta. Then we had a conversation. Again, at a certain level is like, there are many considerations. What about the family? What about the kind of work? Is it interesting? Is it exciting? So they have to sell it to you, and you have to assess, hey, are you the type of environment that I want to grow in? Because when I'm all in, I'm in. Yes. So I was like, oh man, this is awesome. I think after the second conversation with boss, I'm like, I'm ready. When do I move? Of course, I'd gotten the blessings from Penny, and she was like, I think you love that stuff. Whatever you're going to be doing there is the next step in the right direction that you're trying to go.
So is this post-COVID? I mean, or is this in the heart of COVID? Is
2001, kind of like end of COVID, because I think a lot of it was 2020.
Okay, what did COVID do for you guys? Did you get a hit? Did you keep working?
Yes, so we all started working from home 100%.
Okay, were there layoffs?
No.
Not in your industry?
Not in my industry. Financial services are no layoffs.
Wow.
Everyone went home. We had built really good resilience at Freddie Mac. So it was almost like March 17th, there's a little bit of noise. 27, stay home.
Yeah.
We'll tell you when to come back. And we stayed home for another year. So resiliency was there, and the technology, the processes. So we just went and switched on our systems like nothing happened.
Pay cuts?
No.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
Yes. And then, at that point, Netflix comes in. I'm really interested. Had a couple of really nice conversations. But I was like, let me hold off a little bit. Then Meta comes in. I was like,
and so you've gotten to that level where your skill is so high, they are trying to poach you.
Yes.
That's not where your skill set is, where your value is.
Yes.
Where your value is, like, they want you. It's not that there's a job opening positions and so many people are trying to apply for it. No, they're coming, they're headhunting you.
Yes, I bring a unique perspective, the regulatory compliance requirement. Plus I bring security information security.
Yes.
I bring model risk management. I bring the technology and the technology infrastructure. I bring in the emerging tech, privacy. There's so many dimensions to I've built along the way. Yes.
So your experience comes to play at this time.
Yes.
All the years haven't been in vain.
Yes, yes. So the small things that I would do somewhere, I did, hey, building a risk management organization within data management organization, the first line, that skill comes in.
So,
and then the patch experience or being a differentiator also comes into play a lot more now. How do you lead? How do you make sure at least people follow the direction? Is by making sure it's like you flex your leadership style.
Okay, let me ask, what did Meta want? What's vacuum were they trying to fill by getting you?
Leadership acumen that provides what I provide. So for example, security, someone who does technology, someone who does the emerging technology side of things, and then AI, which is the model risk management.
Okay.
And then at one point, I built a risk management organization. So that's another aspect to my acumen as well.
Why did you skip that example?
So in the 12 years that I spent at Freddie, one of the jobs was operational risk management framework that I built.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, question. At this time, in this 12 years, do you do any entrepreneurship?
No.
Do you? So you don't?
Yes.
So you don't venture out. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you decide, Bana? Let me start a car. What do you call this thing? A transport company back home, Bana.
Yes. That's a really good point. So we talk about this with Penny all the time.